Hi, my name is Kathy Seal and I own the Quilt Patch in Tecumseh, Michigan, and I love placemats. I love changing placemats every single month. So what I did was I came up with a line of Quilt-As-You-Go placemats that are low time commitment to make, but really, really fun to be able to work with all the great novelty fabrics, such as flags for the 4th of July, and then we have bats and witches' hats for Halloween. So what I wanted to do was show you using this great holiday fabric. So let's get right to it and learn how we're going to make this. The first thing that we have to do is come in and get that center panel cut up of the great novelty fabric. And then we're going to have our thin inner border. And then we're going to have the outer border fabric. Then we're going to need to have some type of batting in the center. I like using 100% polyester fleece on the inside of my placemats. It makes them nice and soft, and the 100% polyester keeps them from changing a lot out of the laundry. So I do like the 100% polyester fleece, but I have found a great product on the market, and it's called Soft and Stable, and it makes a very firm placemat. So you really have to decide what you want your end project to feel like. Once you get your batting chosen and cut up, then the only other thing we need to do is get our backing piece that's going to turn into the binding. We need to get that cut. So now we're ready to go and start putting this together. The first step that we're going to have to do is take our backing piece, and we're going to have to make registration lines so that we can center the batting and the centerpiece to this backing. So we're going to come in and we're going to fold it over, and I make creases just on the ends because I'm going to be covering up the center section anyway, so we really don't need to have a crease through there. So I go in and I crease the ends, and then I come in here just like so, and I go this way and I crease those ends. And then we're going to come and open it up, and now I have a really nice center point to this. And now it's time to come in and put our polyester fleece on it. I'm going to do the exact same thing, finding the center with this. We're going to fold it in half, and then we're going to come in and we're going to fold it in half again. And this we're going to set right in just like this. We're going to line it up with those registration points we had, and then we're going to open it up. And then we're going to open it up again, just like this. And what I like to do is I like to use basting spray to keep things from shifting when I'm going in and stitching them. So I will come in and flip this over, and then we'll give it a little spritz of basting spray. And I just use a little bit. I don't use tons. And then I fold it over. And then I'm going to come and fold this piece over. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, just a little bit of basting spray to keep things from shifting. And I'm going to go just like this. One thing that I did want to say about the backing fabric, if you read the instructions on the cutting chart, you're going to find it gives you the exact measurement of the backing that you need. If you'd like, you have enough fabric in there to make them just a little bit bigger. Even if you make it just a ½ inch bigger than what the instructions call for, then you don't have to be so exact on centering this, because after you get it stitched, you can go in and you can trim up and have that ½ inch showing all the way around. So once I get the batting centered to the back, I'm going to come in with this center panel, because that's the next thing we have to take and get centered to here. So what I'm going to do is take it and fold it over into quarters, and I'm going to set it in here just like this. Now this one is just a little bit trickier because your registration points are way out here and this is in the center. So what I like to do is take a ruler, and if you take a ruler and you line it up to the top and you put it to your crease right here, it will show you exactly where you need to butt that up to. And then you're going to take it and turn and do the same thing for this side where I put it flush to there and butt it right up to the crease, and I'm going to move this down. Now I know I'm right in the center, and I'm ready to flip this over and flip it over this way. And now I'm ready to put just a little bit of basting spray, just a little bit. I've tried all the basting sprays on the market, and I gotta say I like 505 the best. It's a low odor, and it does a really nice job. And we're going to pat that all down. Now we're ready to go in and start putting on the borders. One thing that you have to be very careful of, that every now and again I will forget, is that when you are piecing this, you're going to be quilting at the same time. So make sure that you have a thread that you're happy with that matches with your backing in your bobbin, because that's really going to show when you go in and piece and quilt this at the same time. So now I'm ready to come in, and we're going to put some glasses on, and we're going to come, and all I'm going to do is I am going to snip off the selvage. I keep these strips whole so that I don't go in and cross cut. You can, if you want to go in and make these the size that they need to be. I'm a trimmer where I'll come in just like this and I will trim that piece to what it needs to be. Now we're ready to come to the sewing machine. So I'm going to pick this guy up and we're going to come right over here to the sewing machine. I like to keep my walking foot on, or put a walking foot on, so that it minimizes any kind of shifting that I'm getting. And what we need to do, if you're a machine quilter, you might know this little trick already, but what we want to do is bring our bobbin thread up to the top so that it doesn't nest in on the back side of our placemat or give you, or where you stitch it into. We want to make sure that this bobbin thread gets pulled up to the top. So let's learn how to do that. We're going to take one stitch, we're going to put our foot down, we're going to make the needle go down once and come up once, just like that, and then we're going to pull it off to the side. I have got the thread, the tail, and then it's stuck here, and then I have the one that goes to the needle. If I pull up on both of those, I will get a loop that comes up, and that is my bobbin thread. So then I want to pull that guy out, and now I'm ready to stitch. So now I have both the bobbin thread and the top thread here, and I'm ready to start stitching. And I stitch 1/4 of an inch when I get started stitching, because you can't just start stitching and it'll open up, and we can't go in and go forward and backward. So what we want to do is come in and just for a couple of stitches, I hold this so that it shrinks the stitches down just a little bit. Just like that. You're stronger than your feed dogs, and now I'm ready to go. So I've taken a few tiny stitches, probably only 3 or 4, so it's just a few. And now we're ready to go with the regular size stitch. And I'm matching that up with the top, and we're going to stitch all the way down. One of the hardest things to do is to find a 1/4 inch marker on your walking foot. So you might want to run a couple of tests to make sure you know where the 1/4 inch is on your walking foot. So now I'm coming to the end, and what I'm going to be doing is the same thing. I'm going to be shrinking them down, just 3 or 4 stitches, just a little bit. And now we're ready to go in, and we're ready to cut the thread top and bottom, just like this. And so what I have, and I'm going to cut those ends too. We're going to go in and get rid of that. Okay, so now what I have is this piece sewn on just like this, and now I'm ready to go and push it right over just like this. Now I don't go in and finger press. I come to the ironing board at this point, because what I want to make sure is that we have everything really nicely pressed down. So I come in with my iron and I press this guy over. Because if you go in and finger press and you don't get it nice and sharp and press there, you're going to have a problem with extra fabric in there. So I really do go make sure that I press this over just like this. Now, what we're going to do to continue this is we're going to take the next piece, and it's going to go to the opposing side. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to come here, put these right sides together, matching with the edge. We're going to sew 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to come and press it over. Then we're going to come in and we're going to do both ends till we have gone all the way around the outside, sewing it on and pressing it open. Then we're going to come with our bigger border, and that's going to be the next one that we do. We're going to take the bigger border piece, and there's nothing different. You're going to go stitch that on, and then you're going to flip it over. So what you end up with after you're all done is this guy right here. And the only thing that we have left to do is bring the backing around to the front and make a nice binding. So if you made your backing fabric a little bit bigger, now is where you want to come in and make sure that you have 1 inch around the outside. So I take my ruler I line it up to the edge of my placemat, just like this, and I'm going to trim anything extra all the way around to make sure I have a 1-inch backing showing all the way around. Now it's time to bring the ironing board front and center, because now it's time to start turning this around, turning the edge over and making a binding. We're going to take this and we're going to fold it up, which is a 1/2 inch in, and we're going to come with the iron, just like this, and we're going to fold it right up to the edge of the placemat. I do top, then I do the bottom, and then I do the 2 sides. So now what I have is all the way across, just like this. Now I'm going to bring it and I'm going to fold it all the way over, just like this. So I'm going to come in with my iron again, just like this, and I'm going to press it over the whole placemat. Now this is coming over the batting of the placemat, and we come all the way down. Now, when I do binding for a quilt, or when I do anything that requires this to be pinned down or clipped down, I like using Roxanne's glue Baste-It. It's a liquid glue, and we're going to come in just like this. Now you can put it on the edge here, or you can put it here, either one, and we don't want tons, so we have to be a little bit careful. But instead of using pins or clips, I'm going to come in just like this, put a little bit of glue, I'm going to fold it back over, and you do need to pre-iron it over because there's no way for you to really grab it once the iron is there. So you do have to do that first step where you iron it first and make this crease right here, then come in with your glue. And when you iron Roxanne's glue Baste-It, you're actually drying the glue so that you don't have to stand there while the liquid glue dries. You're actually drying it as you go. And this avoids having to use pins or clips that get hung up on things. And that guy's ready to go in, and you can either top stitch along here or you can do a decorative stitch, either one. So now I'm going to come in, I have the top done. Now I'm going to come and do the exact same thing on the bottom. And then what I want to do is, like I said, we're going to go and you're going to either top stitch or you're going to do a decorative stitch. But then it's time to come and do the sides after you've got both the top and the bottom done. Now, in order to reconcile this corner, you have 2 different choices. You can have this corner fold over and have what I call a square corner, where you have it go just like this, and you have a seam allowance that comes up right here. Or you can come in and you can make a 45-degree fold right there, and then you fold this in just like this, and then you follow just like we did before where you fold it up to the edge, and then what you have is a really pretty miter. Do you see where you have a 45-degree angle there when you go, which is just very fancy looking? So you have your choice. When I'm going in to do the mitered corner, I come in and I press this. I make sure I hit this with the iron, and then I come in and I go all the way down the side and I fold that up just like this, and I go all the way down, and then I fold this over, and look how gorgeous that miter is. And then I come with my glue just like I did before, and I glue that down so that when I go and do my top stitching, nothing shifts. This particular pattern is called Framed Seasons. We also have Picture Perfect, which is just a center panel, and instead of going and making frames around the center panel, you're putting a square in there, and then you're going to sew on the diagonal and flip the square back. But everything else is just the same. How you get the border or the binding to come around to the front is just the same. So we have Picture Perfect with cupcakes. We have Picture Perfect with sparkly blues for your holiday table. And we also went back to Framed Seasons here. We had a really great sort of a cheater fabric that we used in the center, and just cut it according to the fabric, and then did the exact same thing that we did here. So you can really have fun with these. We also have Woven Wonders, where it's the exact same concept. You're just doing a little bit of pre-sewing before you come in. So we have Woven Wonders in 2 different colorways. It's not a huge time commitment to make them, and the binding around the outside is exactly the same on all of them. So I hope you got some good ideas for your next tablescape. Thanks for watching.